Hi, the Gardener Ben here with your next rose review. This one comes from English rose breezer Harkness Roses once again, and it's a bush rose which has the most incredible fragrance. This cerise bright pink beauty is Claire Marshall, an upright shrub rose reaching around 3 to 3.5 feet tall and just around 2 to 2.5 feet wide, making it perfect for growing in a small space. Maybe you want to plant it in a pot or a container, on a balcony or terrace or a patio, or maybe you want to create a low step over hedge with this particular plant where you can enjoy its really pleasant fragrance, which apart from its color is one of its biggest plus points, which I'm really keen on. So let's start at the very beginning for you. Say Claire Marshall from the Harkness Rose Company. This one is a free flowering shrub rose with blooms produced freely from late June all the way through to the end of September. Flowers either born singly like this one particularly here, or in small sprays and clusters of between 3, 4 and 5 flowers per head. The foliage, much like most Harkness roses, is very, very dark green in its coloration, incredibly high gloss, so you get a very, very deep, vivid foliage from this one. Suitable for growing in full sun or in partial shade. Claire Marshall is a really nice upright shrub. One of the big drawbacks with this, and I'm finding this with quite a lot of the Harkness roses, is the thorn count. This particular lady is very, very angry indeed. You can see a multitude of barbs there on the stem, razor sharp and pointing backwards like all roses do, but this one is particularly sharp and particularly angry. If you were going to cut Claire Marshall and bring her into the house, you will need to do quite a lot of debarbing before you can actually bring her in. The other thing that I'm also noticing with the Harkness roses is those barbs carrying up the backs of the leaves as well, meaning that once you're even deadheading, you're cutting those roses, the likelihood is you are going to get tangled up in them. They do really catch the skin and tear quite nasty, so do be careful of those. The buds are absolutely identical to the flower. There's no change of colour there whatsoever. A very, very tight cylindrical spiralling bud, deep cerise pink in its colour, opening to a loose formed flower with a tight cone of petals in the very, very centre. As the bloom ages, like with this one here, that magenta cerise pink fading out almost sort of to a grey-y pink on the outside, with a little white streak tinge on the back of the flower as those petals start to fold all the way back to the centre, to the stem of the flower itself. And that cylindrical petals in the center there, hiding the cluster of stamens in the very center. This particular plant this year has unfortunately suffered with a little bit of black spot and a little bit of leaf drop. Now 2023 has been a really, really challenging year for these things, and I'm hoping that might be improved with age or deep mulching. So do watch the watering with Claire Marshall and make sure she avoids as much stress as possible, or you might find her being covered in black spot. The green fly and black fly have also liked this one, but again, it has been a particularly bad year for these things. But the biggest plus point with Claire Marshall is I'm sat here with these two flowers in front of me. It's a very warm day. I've got the parasol up above me, but these two blooms filling the air around me with the most wonderful, rich, warm and fruity fragrance. She's really packing a punch on the fragrance, and I'm going to be rating this a really strong 5, maybe heading into a 6. It's very unusual for two blooms to be able to fill the air with quite so much fragrance as they are now. It's really, really rather pleasant. It's rich, it's fruity, and I'm thinking of pear drops and a really good ripe pink lady apple. You know, when you get one of those fragrant ones and you rub the skin just before you bite it, you get that really lovely fruity, sweet, sugary fragrance from it. That's what Claire Marshall is bringing to the table with fragrance. It really is lovely, really, really nice rose for fragrance. So this is Claire Marshall from the Harkness Rose Company, a free flowering shrub rose with unfortunately some really, really large barbs and serrated barbs on the back of the leaves, but beautiful magenta pink flowers produced freely all the way through from the end of mid-June all the way through into the back end of September. But it's the fragrance for me that is setting this one apart from everybody else. A good solid 5 or maybe even 6 on the fragrance rating.